He's made us all laugh. He's given us a great laugh. I'm fixing the foundations. He is giving us a theme park, though. How about that? Up in Luton somewhere. That's going to be built just in time for about another 1 million migrants to come to ride on all the rides for free. It'll be brilliant. It's 9:05. We'll be back after this. Deary me. I mean, I tell you what, David Wooding, an old colleague, I don't even want to say how many years ago I first met you. I think I first met you in New York when I was there in the 80s.
It was the 80s.
And you were working for The Sun, I think, weren't you?
Yeah.
Crikey. I mean, it's frightening, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But can you think of anything that Starmer's done that's been uplifting for the nation? I mean, people struggle. He has given us a few laughs. But it is dire, isn't it?
Has he done anything positive? No,
I don't think he has.
Because he's come in and given us all grim news.
Yeah.
We're in a mess. He's talked the country down.
Yeah. Yeah, and
lots of promises.
Well, the thing is, you will know this better than anyone. You've been in the game a long time. He came to this sort of job with people like me thinking it's going to be a rough few years. He's going to do things that we're not going to like. He's going to probably introduce policies that I certainly wouldn't have voted for. However, what I didn't know was he was going to be completely incompetent and appoint a load of incompetent people around him to run the cabinet, and that's the truth of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he got in by default, really, is the truth.
Yeah, well, he didn't win the election until he's lost it.
Until he's lost it,
yeah. And so, I mean, let's kick off with the state of where he is now, because after that speech on, was it Monday? I suppose it was Monday, the laying out of the big new immigration policy, which doesn't amount to very much, but has upset almost everybody on the left of the Labour Party.
Yeah, well, it's staggering. And, I don't think there's any MPs, there might be one or two, but most MPs on there are either being vocal or saying nothing.
Yeah.
And those who say nothing don't like it.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean,
what's happening inside the cabinet? Are there people in the cabinet who are annoyed with the way he's done it as well?
Well, I'm not as tapped in as I was there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there will be one or two who have. You can.
I mean, Angela Rayner can't be happy about it.
She's not happy, and a lot of them are. I mean, I don't think Yvette Cooper's happy either. To be honest, I mean, she's very pro-migration.
Yeah. Well, she's been very. I mean, but so has he been. I mean, he's only ever been pro-migration. He's never been anti-migration. Yeah. We played the clip the other day that Reform ended up using on their sort of promotional material, where he said, we need to talk up the benefits of migration. We need to talk about how migration has built this country, how great it is. I mean, Sadiq Khan, who's been very critical of Starmer as well, was on another station yesterday talking about how actually, migrant families cost less money to this country than homegrown British families. You're kind of going, well, why are you saying that? It's not, well, first of all, it's not true. Yeah. But there is that sense in the Labour Party that basically, the worst people in the world are British. And, they want to promote everybody else who isn't British and bring them into the country. It's very bizarre, isn't it?
And the other thing, of course, is what's happened now with the government. They've accepted all these great myths about migration being good for growth and all that. They've basically accepted that the Treasury
got that completely wrong. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all know that £5 million a day alone is the cost of running the asylum hotels. That's now going to turn into asylum homes, which are not going to be hotels anymore. They're going to be private, residences. People are already telling us that they're getting eviction notices because their landlords want to move them out because they can get more money out of the migrants. Yeah. And it's a shocking state of affairs, isn't it?
It's bloody terrible. And I don't know how you claw it back from there because... I mean, he's removed all the deterrent. He talks about smashing the gangs. He's done nothing to smash the gangs.
No. Well, he didn't even mention the boats, did he, at all? He didn't mention the illegal migrants whatsoever. No. He talks about reducing the numbers of people coming, which have already been reduced by the Tories anyway, haven't they? Because
and a lot of the benefits he's going to show, he's going to claim are his success.
Yeah.
Down to the reforms that Rishi brought in.
Yeah, right. When you couldn't bring as many dependents. Yeah. And also, at the same time, he's done this deal with India, this trade deal, which is going to allow more Indian workers to come and work here, who will presumably bring members of their families with them and not pay any national insurance. And then who knows what will happen after the 3 years? They might decide they want to hang around, and they might decide they want to apply for asylum because they can. Then you've got his freedom of movement thing going on with the young people of Europe, where he's inviting all them to come in. So he's all for British workers, except for when he's not. Yeah. I mean, it's just bizarre. But let's talk a bit about this story in the Telegraph about, the hostile state business, because this is another case in point of the police not being kind of, truthful with the public. And they don't seem to have learned their lesson from giving out information. They're refusing at the moment to name the nationality that this 21-year-old character is from. But all they'll say is that he had a grudge against the Prime Minister. I mean, it could be anything. couldn't it?
Could be. I mean, it could be. It could be. I thought originally it was some personal grudge.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a. And they've raised that. The police have raised that. We didn't even think about it.
But I don't think you can be 21 years of age and have a personal grudge against the Prime Minister unless you personally know him.
Yeah.
Which seems unlikely, doesn't it?
No.
I mean, it's more likely that he's either an asylum seeker or he's some kind of agent of some kind or other from Iran, because Iran seems to be a real problem at the moment.
And they're subcontracting their stuff out, aren't they? They'll get someone, they'll pay him some money.
Right.
I mean, but the fact that where he lived and where the attacks took place, the fact that it was a car that he owned ages ago and a flat he used to live in. I mean, you can't just go and... It's not like, oh, let's go and bomb number 10, which is what some 21-year-old would think.
Right.
It's, you know, somebody's done some research.
Yes, right. I mean, because I wasn't aware that there was a property that he had lived in as a rental. I presume a rental
I'd have to do some work to find out all that.
And the fact that we now know that the car that was blown up was actually sold it to his neighbour, and that the house is now being rented out to his sister-in-law. You know, we didn't know any of that because we hadn't bothered to check it. But this person... He could be, if a charge is brought, could be presumably charged with attempted murder.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think it's that serious. So they must know something. But the problem is that, again, unless they tell us, there will be inevitably speculation about who he is.
That's what they're up against.
Yeah. It isn't good. A couple of other stories going on. On the front page of the Telegraph as well, burglars to serve a third of their sentence. Now, this is another kind of thorn in the side, isn't it, of Starmer? Because every time he releases people from prison, something goes wrong.
Well, yeah, you have the situation where they let people out of prison after they've only done 40% of their sentence. Now they're going to be double-ended. So on the one hand, if you go in, you don't automatically you get out earlier if you behave yourself and do what do they call it? Rehabilitation.
Yes.
You learn skills.
Right.
You practice.
You get sort of points or something.
Yeah.
Don't you?
And if you misbehave in prison, then the sentence is longer, so they can extend it. And it's going to be a third. So you'll do a third in prison, then you do a third tagged, you'll get out, and then you do a third when you're released on licence. And if you do anything wrong in that third, you get hauled back into prison. So I think. It's imaginative.
Yeah.
It's another way of saying to prisoners, you know, if you behave yourself and try and get yourself back on the straight and narrow, well, we'll let you out early.
Because we've seen lately that the behaviour inside of prisons is really a problem, isn't it? Because prisons, I'm told, are in crisis. We had the case of Rudy Cabana, you know, the Southport killer throwing a pot of boiling water over a prison guard. We had the other guy, Beatty, the Manchester bomber, slashing the throat of somebody in prison and throwing boiling oil over them. You know, all of these problems are being found to be the case because the prisons are simply overcrowded, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think the problem before, Mike, was that they were letting people out early for no reason at all, just as an excuse to get the prisons emptied.
Right.
This seems to be... It's David Gork, isn't it, the former Justice Secretary in the Tory government.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of thought gone into this. So
the problem is the public
think it's possibly...
The public will see it as they're just letting more people out.
Well, yeah.
And they're saying, of course, these are only going to be offenders jailed for relatively small time offences like burglary and shoplifting. But as somebody pointed out to me today in a message, there's not that many people getting arrested for burglary because most burglaries are never solved. Most burglaries the police don't even show up for. So if you're getting in prison for burglary, you must be a pretty bad, offender.
You go to prison for being for tweeting unpleasant things.
They're not letting. Well, she's up for
thinking bad things.
Yeah, she's up for an appeal hearing, I think, on Thursday.
Yeah.
So we'll see whether Lisa Connolly
think that
let out.
Like you say, it's shorter prison sentences, but there is the other side of it is that they can be longer if people don't behave themselves behind bars.
Yeah.
So it gives them the chance to extend it. Whether or not the regime will adhere to that and they'll just end up getting out sooner, it remains to be seen. But I think it's a thoughtful new way of looking at sentences.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people that thinks they just build more prisons, you know, because if you've got that
prison
many...
works, as Michael Howard, the former Home Secretary, once said.
Yes,
it does
exactly.
work.
It does work.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the moment, apparently, the prisons are also overrun by an awful lot of gangs who control an awful lot of what goes on inside the prison, and people just apparently leave them to do it. And a lot of them are Muslim gangs. Apparently we're told that people are being forced into sort of converting to Islam rather in prison just to keep themselves safe, which is a bizarre situation, which they're going to have to fix.
We had those two cases recently of one throwing hot oil over a prison officer, and then a week later the hot water. So really they do need to tighten up on that massively.
They do, absolutely. One final thing, net zero, which of course is another bane of Keir Starmer's life, because eventually if he's going to let go of all of the things that he went into power to get done, like if he's going to reverse immigration, eventually he's going to have to let go of net zero, because it's going to kill the economy. We've got now today in the Telegraph, Chris O'Shea, Chief Executive of Centrica, British Gas's parent company, saying on LinkedIn basically the net zero will never materially reduce UK's electricity prices. Electricity prices will not come down as a result of net zero. So I mean that's the final nail in the coffin, isn't it?
Well, Ed Miliband was telling us for months, years even, that net zero would bring down, well, Labour, in fact, when they came to power, would bring down the price of energy bills. We've yet to see that.
300 quid.
Yeah, well, it isn't happening, and it isn't going to happen. I mean, I think all that's going to happen with net zero, it might secure our energy supplies, because we won't be relying on foreign gas.
Yeah, but we could do that already with the gas fields that we've got and the oil that we've got.
But it's certainly not going to reduce, and I don't think anyone will be surprised by that.
No, and we've been getting a lot of communications today about heat pumps in terms of the fact that, a lot of public housing is getting heat pumps and solar panels installed without anybody asking for them. So that's more public money going down the drain. We've got Ed Miliband today in The Sun, a suggestion that he might be suggesting that you can put some of your salary away every month to save for a heat pump, which costs somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 quid.
Well, I can tell you, Mike, I recently had a new boiler fitted.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, what about a heat pump? Because, I mean, I'd read about it all. Is it worth getting a heat pump?
Yeah.
And the two of the people I had round to price me up for it said, don't bother with a heat pump. It'll cost you so much money. You won't make the save. You'll be dead before you start making any savings.
Well, this is it. They talk about if you put in a ground source heat pump, you have to dig up a load of bits of the garden if you've got space to do that. And if you don't have a space for that, you have to dig around inside the house, and you have to install things, and they're noisy, and you have to put new pipes in, new radiators. I mean, it costs a lot of money.
I know about this because my next door neighbour's having one fitted. He didn't listen to the advice of the man from the British Gas, and vans galore outside, digging, all sorts of noise going on. So goodness knows what it takes to have one fitted.
I know. I don't understand why people are so sure that they should do this. I mean, because they've been sort of shamed into it, haven't they, by the Green Brigade?
I think fair enough, if new homes are being built and they contain a heat pump, then all the work's done integral to building the house.
If it's a new house.
But if you've got an old house that's got a bit of character, or you're living in a semi somewhere, you're not going to pay for this to be fitted.
No, of course not, unless you've got more money than sense.
But of course, Ed Miliband is a zealot on this, and it's his whole raison d'etre.
What do you reckon, though, on his sort of political future? Because a lot of people don't think he's going to survive the rest of the year, and he may be out, if not by Christmas, before that.
I've noticed he's been sitting, not been sitting in next to the Prime Minister PMQs for a couple of the last sessions. I don't know whether that means anything or whether reading too much into it. But yeah, lots of people feel he is a bit of a problem for Keir Starmer, and of course he was leader of the party himself.
Well, he was,
and he didn't do very well.
And people
there.
say to me, it's him and Angela Rayner who are the kind of the lefty kind of heart of the party in Parliament, at least. And if that's true, then he must be against the immigration policy of Starmer as well. Then
possibly. I mean, the biggest. He talks about busting the gangs. The biggest gang he's got to bust is sitting on his own green benches. I mean, they are all against this immigration crackdown, and those who are not speaking, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're against it. But lots of people are speaking out about it. You've seen the reaction this morning, likening him to Enoch Powell and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely right. David, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Okay.